PG&E stock has had a very rough go of it. This week alone, down 26% as the company started these rolling blackouts. You may remember the company did, of course, file for bankruptcy back in January. But as PG&E swoons, backup home generator giant Generac stock began spiking this week and hit an all-time record this morning before slightly retreating. First on Fox Business, we're joined right now by Generac's President and CEO, Aaron Jagdfeld. Good to have you, sir. Obviously, we understand the pain that the Californians have definitely felt, but how much of what's going on there is generating, if you will, purchases by individuals and homeowners in California?
Well, thanks for having me on, Liz. Obviously, we understand the situation out in California, and it's driven a tremendous amount of interest in backup power, not only for homeowners, but business owners as well. Cell phone carriers, hospitals, all kinds of installations are, figuring out just exactly what happens when the power's off. And it's not just for a few hours. In this case, it's for a number of days. So obviously interest is very high. We're doing everything we can to get as much product to that part of the country as we possibly can right now. It's
not just what's been happening this week in California. Your stock is up 67% year to date. By the way, Charles Payne was sure to remind me that he recommended it 10 years ago when it was a lot lower. But
he did.
To what do you attribute that at this point? And you do them for both homes and for businesses as well. Who's your bigger customer?
Correct.
And which parts of this generator business are they into and buying?
Yeah, we're about 50-50. So we're about $2 billion in revenue. About half of that is to the residential market. The other half would be for businesses and commercial applications. I think to answer the question of what's really driving this, it is interesting to listen to Governor Newsom, talk about this not being a climate change story. Actually, we would tell you that very much what we think is behind not only our stock running up, but also the growth in the company, and we've grown 10% a year for the last decade, is really because of the severity of weather. You look at severe weather every year. The 100-year storms, these rare weather events now are happening every 3 to 5 years. And air temperatures are warmer, water temperatures are warmer. The severity and the frequency of storms has increased. And as that happens, you're more susceptible to experience a power outage. And as people go through those outages, they turn to a product like ours to help them work through it. Sometimes protecting a livelihood, sometimes protecting medical equipment at home. There's a lot of use cases for the product, but I think we've all found out just how important power is in our daily lives. And when we lose it, things get pretty primitive pretty quickly.
I would imagine. Your company watching, obviously, the weather patterns and how these storms, and we're coming up on, I guess, snowstorms as well. It's climate change, as you see it, that has become way more intense. When it comes to your actual business and what you're doing, is it that now a new move, because you've just made 2 acquisitions. One of them is a company called Pika, which works very hard to store solar energy and grid power. And then, of course, Neurio, which is software and hardware to monitor energy usage. Are you trying to do what, in a way, our buddy David Crane, who used to run NRG, thought was a good idea, and that is make each individual home into its own individual utility, generating its own electricity and figuring that out?
Yeah, we actually think there's a huge shift coming in the utility landscape. And you've heard people like David and others talk about this in the past. But we believe that that traditional utility model, this idea of power being generated in a central plant by coal or nuclear power and being transmitted hundreds or thousands of miles across wires to your meter, your home or your business's electrical meter, that arrangement is going to change. This idea you haven't had any choice in who the provider is or what you pay for that power, that's going to dramatically shift over the next 10 years. And a combination of 2 things, regulation and technology, are going to make that possible. And those products that those companies that we acquired fit neatly into that. So people are going to be producing their own power on site, whether that's solar or wind. They're going to store that power. They're going to consume that power when they need it. And they're going to have a choice and a say and more flexibility in what they pay for that power. And those acquisitions that we've done are really positioning the company more as an energy technology company going forward. And we think that that's an important part of the future and really what's going to happen in the energy landscape.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And I'm, full disclosure, a very happy customer. I've got a Generac because I was just done with the outages, and it just gives you peace of mind and sort of an insurance there. Aaron, good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Liz.